The millennial generation has 9% of the nation's wealth currently. At the same time, 30 years ago, with the boomer generation, they had over 20% of the country's wealth. Think about that gap. Hence why we see so many problems in the world and why we see so many young people struggling. The broken monetary system, your dollar being debt, literally being a note, Federal Reserve note, like it says in the bottom, being owed back with interest to the Federal Reserve. That is the national debt. We're in a debt-based system. And once people start realizing that, everything starts to become very clear. We can see things through a Marxist, collectivist glasses. We have that prescription on. Then everything becomes very clear. Take, for instance, again, about 36 years ago, 37 years ago, 1987, to make $100,000. We just did a video yesterday on the Dinks, the double income, no kids couple who can't afford their lifestyle anymore, both making over $100,000 a year, can't afford their lifestyle anymore, living in Seattle, and they're cutting back on everything, downgrading their lifestyle. Get used to that word, downgrade. Americans are going to get very used to the word downgrading and living a lower lifestyle and having to live below their means. And in 1987, if you made $37,500, it would be like $100,000 today. $37,500 would be like $100,000 today. So, again, in saying that, again, if you are, you have to look at these opposite, right? So if you are looking at that the opposite way, if you're making $100,000 a year, it's really like you're making $37,500. That's why people can't get ahead. This is why people are struggling. Cost of goods and services going up. But when you really see that, again, a person making $100,000 a year now is really the purchasing power of someone making $37,500 35 years ago, 36, years ago. That's mind-blowing. That's, again, why you see these trends of people saying, oh, the boomers got to buy a house for $40,000. Someone made a great point the other day. They're like, the boomers got to buy houses at $40,000, and now they're worth $2 million each, $1 million each. Millennials have the same opportunity to buy Bitcoin at $40,000 each right now. But most will just continue complaining and will do nothing about it. And they'll just miss that opportunity as well. They're too busy complaining about what's going on. And then eventually, Bitcoin will be $1 million or $2 million a coin, $10 million a coin, and it'll keep going up in purchasing power because there's only 21 million. There's a finite amount. I don't know any other asset that's finite, based in energy, like Bitcoin is. So it'll continue to go up in purchasing power, and most people will continue yelling at the clouds and saying, "Dang you! How did this happen? How did this happen?" So that's the gap we are living in right now. And this wealth gap is the thing that concerns me the most. It's what causes the most hatred, division, polarization, because people are at each other's throats. And people just, someone asked this other way, again, they're like, what are you talking about? This causes hatred and division and inflation does. When people can't pay for their lives, they start going insane. They feel like a caged animal. The Arab Spring 12 years ago was because food prices got too high. It's generally said that if food prices get above 40% of a family's monthly income they're bringing in, it makes more sense to riot and protest and revolt than it does to do anything else. We are getting towards those times. I don't have those facts in front of me, but we are slowly creeping our way towards that. And people think that it can't happen in the West, and these things won't happen. They most assuredly will, because humans are human, and humans are going to human. And this process will continue to play out. Every dollar is owed back with interest to the Federal Reserve. They are notes. They are IOUs. They are debt instruments. That's why I have constantly said, and one of my most viral videos was how American savings are killing them. Because people are saving in liabilities, in dollars, in debt instruments. Things are owed back to the Federal Reserve. So it's their asset, not yours, owed back to someone else. So they're saving in dollars, if they're saving at all, in a liability they think is an asset. So anyone who's gotten wealthy at all in the last number of decades, last 100 years, are people that save tangible assets, gold and silver and Bitcoin. Those are the people that have got wealthy because they have saved in finite or relatively finite, when it comes to metals, in finite assets equal to their finite time. When you go to work, you trade your time, your finite time, for something. Most people choose an infinite liability, dollars, pesos, yen, lira, some fiat government currency. But if you trade it for an equally finite asset like Bitcoin, or maybe something slightly less finite, gold and silver, you win long term because it holds its purchasing power or gains in purchasing power. It's a very simple equation. This is not hard. It's not rocket science, but most people get caught up thinking that the answer is way more complex than it is. It's not. The answer is very simple. It's right in front of our eyes. Most people choose not to see it. So this is why most people aren't getting ahead. And this is why the dinks are, they have empty souls and they're sitting there telling you how great their life is with no kids. The whole purpose of life, they're missing it because they're so worried about having their Netflix and chill account and having, doing whatever, going to vacations in Europe without their kids, without their family, and being selfish in that regard. Let's call it what it is. And then they realize they can't even afford these things because they think, well, I'm making $100,000. Yeah, but that's like making $37,500 over the past number of decades. It's not what you think it is. $100,000 isn't what you think it is anymore. So that's the importance of this. That's what, in all this, at the end of the day, in wrapping this up and landing this plane, all this is because of government printing of currency and fractional reserve banking, allowing the banks to lend out way more cash than they have in gold backing it up. That's it. That's it. It's as simple as that. There is no other explanation. There is none. So don't try to sit here and look for some other thing. That's it. Believe me, I've been trying for 15 years to find the explanation and find other explanations, and that's it. It's constantly the same thing. You keep coming back to the same dead end over and over again. Government currency printing is the root of all evil. The central banks are the root of all evil. Like we talked about many times, the Communist Manifesto, plank number 5 is the centralization of all credit and taking over the monetary supply. That's it. It's central banks. So please share this out. Question everything with boldness, even the existence of God himself. Trust but verify what I'm saying. This is not financial advice. It is freedom advice. And the algorithm hates truth. This is why we need to share it out. We have to share it out. We have the education. We have many things we are doing. Writing books, art, trading cards, starting to do things that are outside, it's upside down, starting to do things outside of the norm and incept truth into people's minds and education that they're not going to get in government-run schools and they're not going to get anywhere else. So please, subscribe and please share, because this tells the algorithm and forces the algorithm's hand, hopefully. We'll see you in the next one.